Welcome to the third programme in the series Lockdown Music. And what a show it is! We'll find out why Belfast singer Davie O'Neill is known as Ludwig and how he collaborated with Banksy. What Joby Fox is up to in his Hideout Studio in Denmark. Why Brigid O'Neill wrote about domestic abuse in lockdown. And how rock legend Ricky Warwick, singing star Brian Kennedy and star of the future Russia McHugh helped Facebook sensation Cocoons to raise over £2,000 for MenCap in just one night of glorious music. Cocoons racked up its amazing 50th birthday in great style recently. I managed to grab a few words with joint organiser Cormac Neeson after he sang this song.
I asked her, where are we going? She said, we've arrived without knowing. I got nowhere I can turn. I'll take my chances, I don't care if I burn. On that freeway, I will spend my days. I'll take my chances, I may never return, come back again.
So Cormac, where I want to go with this is I want to ask you first of all, where did Cocoons originate?
But I was chatting it through with Matt and we wanted something a bit different, you know, and both of us have been to Nashville, so we experienced the songwriters in the round culture of Nashville, and we just thought if we could get that going, but use the fact that, you know, we can beam out all over the world to maybe rope in a couple of musicians to begin with that maybe just aren't from down the road, you know, something that you just obviously couldn't do if you were sitting on the stage. So rather than sit at home and feel sorry for ourselves, we wanted to find a way to keep playing, to keep musicians connected, to also obviously, most importantly of all, keep the people's spirits up, who were sitting at home at that point in time. It was a particularly anxious and worrying time.
That's absolutely brilliant. Matt, how did you pick the lineup for the Big 50 Cocoons?
Well, we always knew that Ricky Warwick is more Cormac's line of music, and he's a fabulous singer. He's from here. He's now based in LA, and we've always tried to keep that international vibe going. But the fact it's even better whenever we have somebody from here who has done so well for themselves and can now do a live stream for Cocoons from his home in Beverly Hills.
Last cowboy on the rodeo, a sold out dog and pony show. Last causes unforsaken belief. The calling time on paying your dues for loving something so savage and cruel. Everything's ravaged, everything's burned. Here I am drinking, I'm celebrating, singing all my life, I'm toasting you. What was I thinking? I'm celebrating, singing all my life, I'm toasting you. I'm just another pistol patty on a Saturday night, drowning in a bottle full of sugar and smack. We all get what we deserve. Worn out, welcome to a worn out world. Whoa.
And Brian Kennedy's somebody we've always wanted to have on, and Brian's been very active online, and we were able to reach out to him. And of course he's always been known for his charity work, and so he was more than happy to help us for that, and a fabulous show it was.
Sheridan Square was crazy today. when I took the train uptown now. It started to snow, but I just didn't care, 'cause I never dreamed I'd be Broadway bound. Now Christopher Street has quietened down. Seems even New York needs to sleep sometimes. But one of these nights, when I turn out the lights, well, I'll find you waiting to love me on Christopher Street.
And then there's a young lady we had on before, Rasha McHugh, and she's just going to be a complete star. So any opportunity we have to get Rasha back on, you know, we're going to grab that.
Rain, 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 rain dripping down the window pane, but the water doesn't pour the way it did the day before. Stuck still staring into empty space as I feel a teardrop fall, slowly rolling down my face. A pounding thump inside my head, an everlasting feel of dread of when a day like this will come again. 'Cause I've been crying, crying all night long, and I'm trying to stay strong, but I know that it won't be long till another day I sing this song. I know there is no way to try and keep these tears at bay, so I am just accepting that today is gonna be one of those days when you wish the world away, just one of those days.
That's the wonderful Rasha McHugh ending our selection from Cocoon's 50th birthday bash. Next up is another Cocoon's performer, Joby Fox. Currently based in Denmark, he's one of the musicians behind the Mediterranean refugee rescue boat Mohara.
I was so moved by what I'd seen on the television, and I suppose to a certain degree I'm a transient being a musician, and I knew that I could get up and go. It wasn't Middle East or, you know, Asia or whatever. It was the borders of Europe. It was Europe. So I knew I could go there, and I got up and I thought I needed to do something tactile as opposed to singing about, you know, all these aspirations about love and peace and all the rest of it. Actually go and do something, you know, put the music aside, put the art aside, go and do something and help.
Got me by the light of your love, through the wars and the raging seas. Don't let me drown, don't let me drown, don't let me drown in a world of fear, in a world of fear of mediocrity. And you and I were meant to be together. Oh, we crossed the raging seas. Yeah, 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 yeah. This world is crazy to me.
Between myself and Sophie, who studied photography in Copenhagen, we were able to get some ideas together, and you know, sort of we cut in a few things, you know, from other sources, but generally it was myself just around the house here, a couple of close shots of myself and whatnot, and we created what I think is when you think that it was just shot here on a couple of phones, I think we created quite a nice video, and thoughtful one too, you know, Morgan.
Absolutely, it's a great video, Joby. And I suppose for you, though, one of the difficulties about being in Denmark is A, lockdown, and B, Danish isn't your native tongue. How have you been getting on as a musician in lockdown in Denmark?
I couldn't praise the Danes enough. They're just, what I always say is they're like cerebral people. They're people that think before they open their mouth, which isn't it isn't something in our tradition, myself included. So, I just get along great with these people, and we've done a kind of a lockdown session in a town called Aalborg, just up the north of Jutland here in Denmark, and everything just fell into place, and we shot it, but we haven't really took it out to edit it just yet, so we'll be looking at that in due course. Like, selling drugs to kids just to make your rent. You'll be on the streets tonight with an overzealous appetite to make the world belong to you, but it belongs to you and me, you fool. But no, leave him alone with the fat on his face. He doesn't know what's going on in his place. You can't explain what's going on in his brain. Everyone knows there'll be hope for him tomorrow. We all sort of know people like that, guys like that. But there's a period, particularly with guys that they go through, not all of them, of course, but some of them, and they'll go through this period in their life. And hopefully, they don't piss anybody off too much, you know what I mean? To the point where they're going to, it's going to affect their future or whatever. There's a time where you just have to leave them alone, as long as they're not, harming anybody, or they're just being a bit of a pain, as I said, in the butt. It's just leave them alone. And there's a line in the song where it says there's hope for them tomorrow. So that's what it's about. It's about recognizing that, we all went through a kind of a youthful, spirited period, and you have to sort of be tolerant of people. Oh, I love you. The voice in our heads tore us apart. The voice in our heads made stones of our hearts. My days are numbered, I shall part. A terrible beauty, a terrible beauty, a terrible beauty is born. It talks about the sort of tragedy of war, and it also, though, acknowledges people's passions, and the passion for kinship and all of that. And it talks a little bit about the love of a woman, and deep love, and is what's more important, is human relationships more important than so-called patriotism, and all of that. And it's I hopefully just thought-provoking stuff, which will and a Nick Yates line, which was a terrible beauty is born.
That's Joby Fox working away in Hideout Studio in Denmark's Jutland. One of Brigid O'Neill's early successes was Arrivals and Departures. She outlines some of the background to the song.
The whole idea of Arrivals and Departures came about because I was really going through a big change in my life at the time. I was actually trying to make the decision whether to leave my full-time career working as an environmental scientist and conservationist to become a full-time musician. And that was a tough one because I absolutely loved my job. And also just my kids were moving from being really children to being teenagers, and everything was just changing. So that's where the song really came out of. And yeah, I think it touched a lot of people's hearts, really, because it really tunes into how we just keep having to adapt throughout our lives, and that life just constantly does change. And it was lovely to write it with Jim Johnson and Dave Brown, my fellow songwriters at the time, and it was really a lovely collaborative thing as well. I had an idea, and then we just worked on it together.
Heads down to the gate, the call to number. There's people drifting past the other way. We're following the signs in the direction. Full of hope and fear. Just arrivals and departures are constant. Things move on and others take their place. You've gotta shift yourself into another viewpoint. No need to run, no need to run, no need to run, no need to run. They'll find those things you gotta
We're right in the heart of lockdown, and this program is about lockdown music. But you've got a song that you wrote that's done very, very well for you, that was written because of lockdown, because of the increase in domestic abuse that has happened during lockdown.
That's right. I was very affected by the constant stories coming through the media about so many women who were trapped in their own homes, during lockdown, and all the normal outlets and the ways they would normally have got out, to take the kids to school or meet with friends. They were just cut off from those opportunities and trapped in a house with often very abusive partners. And it just kept going round and round in my head, just during the whole early part of lockdown. That song, it just kept coming up, as if it was just asking to be sung. So I decided I'm collaborating at the moment with Nielsen Hubbard out in Nashville, and on the new album I'm making. And so I sent it to Nielsen just to sort of get that sort of objective opinion. And he just loved it immediately. And we decided to record it there and then, and to release it as the first single of the new album. I collaborated then with the Women's Aid. Well, I can't say I collaborated, but I just give all the proceeds of the song to Women's Aid, and worked a lot with them at the start just to find out how it fitted in with their the work they do, really. And so it was really nice to give something back to them, because they just keep working no matter what else is happening on the planet at the time. There's always a job for them to do, and they do fabulous work. So it was nice to do that.
Quiet street with quiet people living out their quiet lives. Quiet woman lives among them, ghost behind those clever lies. All the love she holds within her makes her stay for her children's smiles. But all the while she's on a fear ride, roller coaster of his lows and highs. And she stops to listen on the landing. She holds her breath and listens for a cry. Then silently she moves on down the staircase. She's leaving her home for one last time.
Brigid, we can't let you go without talking about prayers.
Yeah, I'm delighted that Prayers is out there in the world. Thanks, Mike. It's we put a lot of energy into it in the studio. It's a song with a lot of attitude, and Matt McGinn and Matt and myself wrote it, and we were very affected by a lot of the revelations that were going on at the time in the church. But when we got to sit down and discuss things, it really became apparent that there's so much more than just one institution or one organization that tries to tell us what to do or control us or seduce us. And that's what really that song is about. You know, you're buying up dreams with nothing to sell. And so in the studio, we just really wanted to put a bit of attitude into it, and I think we achieved that. It's a good upbeat, you know, driving song, and I very much enjoyed working on the arrangements of it. So yeah, I'm very pleased with it. It's been getting a lot of airplay on right across the board, which is fantastic. You know, down south over in the UK, and I haven't really pushed it in Canada and those places yet. So when you're a one-man band, it's hard to do everything, but we're getting there.
Are your prayers gonna save you now? Gonna save you now? Gonna save you now? Are your prayers gonna save you now? Save you now? We're a one-stop shop to save your soul. It's a cell that don't grow old. Tooth for a tooth and an eye for an eye. It don't mean nothing when I bleed you dry. Are your prayers gonna save you now? Save you now? Save you now? Are your prayers gonna save you now? Save you now? Ooh, ooh.
Brigid O'Neill with her recent single, Prayers. North Belfast singer Ludwig O'Neill got his nickname as a teenager from his mates. Here's how.
Well, the guys called for me, and my mum came to the door and says he's not coming out. He's writing a song. Worst thing I could have said to my mates. I went out in the street the next day. It was, oh, there's Beethoven. Oh, look at that, there's Beethoven. And so eventually, sometimes later on, they started calling me Ludwig a wee bit, but it wore off completely. But then in 1990, I joined a band there, the Bush Turkeys, and there was two Davies in the band, and I was one of them. And it was every time somebody shouted Davie, they was referring around. It was like maybe a bit of a bore. So they saw Ludwig written on one of my song sheets, and it was like, there you go, Ludwig, that's you now. You know, and I went, oh, I suppose it was there before, it'll stick this time then.
I am a sea nomad. That's right. I leap from pier in dead of night. Cooling skin, my body floats among the plethora of boats. I offer up my worldly woes as ripples wet my paddling toes. Water, wind, salt and dew. I am a sea nomad. It's true. I am a sea nomad with you. I am a sea nomad. It's true. Oh yeah. With you. Oh, with you.
You've gone from Bush Turkeys to your solo career, and you've now got an involvement with a group called Otherish, which had an involvement with Banksy. Tell us about that.
Oh, Otherish was an accident. Otherish was a thing that happened because a guy that I used to know in North Belfast here back in the day, Francis Kane. Now, Francis spent a lot of time in Bristol with a couple of bands in the 80s. Superheroes thing came about when there was a lockdown thing. This guy, Sean, in Bristol, I think he's in Bristol or Cornwall now. I think he's in Cornwall. But the studio that it all happened in was around that sort of crew, that Bristol crew. And they wrote this wee tune with their kids just to sing when they were out. And when the pandemic came, they went, oh, look, we can change it this, because it was like superheroes in the hospitals, superheroes out driving the van, superheroes cleaning the streets and all that there, you know. And they did all these reverses, you know, and they sent me this stuff. And I said to Frankie, like, what do we do with this? And he says, well, check out the drum tracks. And then we worked on the drum tracks. Some of the drum tracks were great. They were just loops. And I built them into like a structure that I thought would carry the verses and the wee guitar like as a pop tune. And because there was an urgency, because it was lockdown and we wanted this out to get it released. And then during that week, it turns out that Banksy, who knows Sean, the author of the song, they all know Banksy from Bristol, and he was one of their mates. And Banksy happened to just walk into the hospital. I think it was Southampton General or something that he walked into with that picture, you know, and he gave it to them. And the next thing it was on the news, and the next thing Sean's saying, well, we can use that. And I was like, what? And we got permission from the man himself, like, to use the picture as the backdrop. And it was a picture of the wee kid holding the nurse up like a superhero, like, and all this other Batman and all the Marvel superheroes were in the bin, but there was this nurse and he was flying the nurse like a superhero, you know, and it was a really cute picture, and we were so pleased that we got to use it because it linked so fastidiously to this song. I thought, wow.
Superheroes in the hospital. Superheroes in the hospital. Superheroes in the hospital. Superheroes in the hospital.
Our superheroes have been so important over this past year, Ludwig, and the opportunity for you to do some, at a remote distance collaboration with Banksy, and the new stuff you're doing with Otherish. It's just all so exciting.
So what happened was I wasn't eligible for any furlough stuff, so I had to hit the ground running when it came to lockdown. I had to go with what are my options here. Started doing the sofa sessions on a Sunday, which was just me doing thing out there and sitting in the sofa in the living room and chatting with people and singing whatever songs they wanted, you know. And there was PayPal tips coming in, so that paid for string, that covered me for a few things, covered a couple of bills, kept my car on the road, stuff like that, you know.
The way that you trick me, try to trap me with your mind, as you slight my opinions with your own subjective pride. Repeating all they teach you like some science class board. 6 million comic books strewn about your floor. Well, I recommend you find a new channel, and I recommend you sack the whole panel. Some downtime, and I recommend a shift in your paradigm.
Next time, we have a great trip down Virtual Lane to the Sunflower Folk Club. We have a lockdown-inspired book about otters with songwriter Dan Leith, and a riverbank experience with live otters. And if we're very, very good, we'll get a song or two from Peter McVeigh.